Look at that. You hear me? You see me? Been recording for 46 minutes. And we have been going over my self-authoring my past. And analogizing it to the hero's journey. Because I want to inspire individuation. So I am developing my skill of taking the unique, the stuff that differentiates us, and showing how it connects us. Doing the impossible over here. And my headphones are connected to my phone because I'm listening to Brain FM. I don't know if you know it, but keeps me in the fucking zone. Also caffeinated up. So unfortunately, I don't want to really go back and go over what I just spent 46 minutes doing. But it was only 3 pages of a 90-page autobiography of my past, present, and future. I mean, we're just going to go over the past today, and that's only 15, 20 pages. So I guess I'll just go over these 3 really quickly. I'm analogizing my past to Erik Erikson's stages of development. It's a psychological analysis, but also cultural and spiritual. So, the beginning of this, we talked about also, so I started a video talking to 2 different people. There's going to be a recording of this, and the recording will have started from the beginning. And that's, But this video is, I'm just going to go over really quickly what I've been talking about for the people that are, for the video. I'm a dumbass and I should have started the video earlier. That's on me. So, to know thyself. Fundamental thing, know thyself. Basis of philosophy, know thyself. Written above the Temple at Delphi, know thyself. Written above the door of the Oracle in the Matrix. So, know thyself. That's answering the question, who am I? Break that question down into what's going on and what should I do? Let's answer the first one. What's going on? You look at that in terms of myth, in terms of religion, and in terms of your family tells you what's going on. You're born into the world, and you learn about what's going on, and that's actually what I'm talking about. That's what I've been talking about. What's going on? You're happening, and you're developing, and it's beautiful, and it's a game, not to be taken too seriously, but to be enjoyed. A celebration of the universe. Wow, craziness. So yeah, it's a play. All the world's a stage, and all the people are merely players. Each man will have many different. Blah blah. Let's see. Hinduism. The one divides into the many. We're all God in drag. Buddhism, Taoism. It is nature. It is spontaneous. Zitran happens of itself. So this is the unfolding of the lotus flower. It is Tat Sisvam Asi. You're it. Remember that you're it. So, what should I do? This is culture. What should you do is why we watch movies. It's why we listen to stories. Movies are modern day stories told around a campfire. It is the And the archetype, the underlying structure of all stories that have been told throughout time, is the hero's journey. So the hero's journey is potent because it gives us meaning. A lot of these hero's journeys are really powerful. The story of Krishna, the story of Buddha, the story of Christ. These are like the most potent. Talk about how the problem is people become attached to the sign instead of following it. Because all of these people tell you to go within. And they are symbols for the archetypal hero. And so are you. Whether or not you choose to actualize your potential, whether or not you choose to individuate, whether or not you choose to bring that unique, heroic potential that is within you and manifest it in the world. Share that gift with others. This will also require going into the dark cave, the forest, the belly of the beast, fighting the dragon, rescuing your father, all this stuff. It's a struggle, but it's a meaningful struggle. So yeah, I'm all about making meaning out of life. Everybody is. We want to live meaningful lives. The main problem I experienced growing up was that I didn't know any of this stuff growing up. I don't know any of it right now. I'm just saying a bunch of words because it's something that gives me time to do and I'm stuck inside. What do you want from me? I'm just kidding. Hopefully this will be entertaining and I'll free you from some concern in the meantime and maybe allow you to reconnect to that conscious voice within and follow it wherever it may lead. So the ordinary world, the first stage on the hero's journey is the ordinary world where you have limited awareness of a problem. Limited awareness of the problem. Every day is a hero's journey. It's a circle. It's the sun. Okay? You can think of all religions as understanding life and death, making meaning of the fact that we die, that we are aware of our mortality. We fear death, and death is night. It's the sun and night. It's the circle of life and death, yin and yang, up and down, self and other. They go together. The logos, what I'm trying to be, what I am listening to, is the thing that goes in between, which is you're it. Knowledge, awareness that every implicit duality has, every explicit duality, courage, cowardice, hero and victim, worthy, not worthy, good, bad, life, death. Every explicit duality has an implicit unity. There's a line. It's a spectrum. It's actually a circle. It's a sphere. It's the world. It's you and me. So, limited awareness of the problem is that people are living mediocre lives. People are just not alive. What is alive? It is to know yourself. To be tapped into that, you can be in flow. Which is when you step outside of time, and it is the football player, the wide receiver, going for the catch, shooting the basket. It is the chopping samurai, the cutting samurai. It is the king delegating. It is the lover kissing. It is the magician or the mentor inspiring. I took the role of the fool, of the court gesture, which is the precursor to the king. It is also the magician. It is the one who sees the larger perspective. The main thing that we went through in these pages was me playing the class clown growing up, trying to, because at home I saw my parents, they're fucking miserable. I love you, mom and dad. But I didn't want to, that brought me suffering to see others suffer. And so I wanted to remind people that you're alive. It's the day. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's choice. Psychological suffering comes from unwillingness to accept the present moment. It's the present moment is life. It is a reluctance to live life, rather than a willingness, which is the hero voluntarily accepts life and goes into the deepest, darkest parts of it, creates order out of it, reinstantiates order. So yeah, I saw a bunch of people, parents, the majority of people I saw on the street seemed not to be living life to the fullest, I guess. So I acted to remind them that it's a game, especially in the classroom. As the class clown, I wanted to remind everybody else that it's just a game. And so I sought the applause. The laughter was what I looked forward to. So, yeah, we learned about mistrust and trust. Can you trust the world and other people? Fuck no. And also, yes. Almost all of these, Erik Erikson breaks down stages of development. I took my life and I went through from like the very first stage, trust versus mistrust. So I went all the way back to preschool. And most of the stuff that you remember is negative. It's because we have a negativity bias. Because our ancestors that were more negative were more likely to survive. So evolution. But this is no longer beneficial because more people kill themselves and commit suicide because they're psychologically suffering because they're reluctant to live. So that is why I need to get this message out there. You're the hero of your journey. If you don't like your life, change it. I had to get to the deepest, darkest point where I wanted to kill myself and have someone tell you that if you want to kill yourself, you can. I had to tell myself that. It is the reluctance comes from fate leads the willing and drag the reluctant. Willing, reluctant. I was being dragged in high school. Loss of faith. Most societies are going towards mythless societies. Christianity was the myth of Western culture, and that is God is dead, as Nietzsche spoke, and so you need to find meaning in other places. Most people, culture especially, were being sold that there is meaning in the secular, in fortune, in fame, in these transient things that don't have meaning. But I went into them. I'm done it, all about it. Sold my soul to Gucci, you know. It's not meaningful. So yeah, you gotta die to be reborn though. So also there is no way to live your life wrong. You never get it right. You can't get it wrong and you never get it right. It's a circle. We're just rolling. It's all for fun. Okay, yeah, so first stage, people are unwilling, miserable, wretched fucks. And their suffering is making me suffer. I'm like, I'm only looking at you, miserable fuck. So I'm not going to be that. I cannot be that. I will not be a victim of chance. I will not give my soul away to circumstance. I will be the captain of my fate, of my destiny, my life and my death. This is my brother coming up.
Damn.
So the call to adventure is the next stage. That's increased awareness of the problem. Again, foundational problem. Unwillingness to live life, unwillingness to individuate, to accept the unique gift that is within yourself and manifest it in the world. Third, the refusal of the call, reluctance to change. This came about in school when I was odd. I was weird. I was the class clown. Most of the time when I was younger, I did not care about being weird or different. And I went to a small enough school where we were all friends regardless, and it was it wasn't an isolating factor for me to pursue the development of my gifts as an entertainer, as an actor. And also I was still athletic, and I was still, in terms of the social hierarchy in middle school, I didn't feel like I was at the bottom. But when I went to high school, I was a smaller fish in a bigger pond, and not the smartest, and not the funniest, and not the most athletic, and not the best actor. And the bigger pond made it seem like if I did pursue acting, I did. I was in acting class, but I didn't try out for all the plays that I could have. Whereas at Stewart, I tried out for all of them, and one of them I got a lead. And it was a foundational, meaningful moment in my childhood. As well as understanding the flip side, going back to the seriousness, that being serious is, the more seriously you take a game, the more fun it is. So when the teachers kicked me out of the classroom and said, "You're disrupting the class," and I was like proud, because I was fulfilling my meaning as being the fool who lets you know that this is just a game. The flip side of that, what I couldn't see, what I was blind to, was that a lot of the people didn't fucking need me to do that. They knew, and they wanted to. They were heroes. They were voluntarily accepting the boundaries, the classroom rules, and they were going to develop themselves within it. And that's what the heroes do. And so I was, in fact, disrupting them from doing that. I didn't realize that, because I was off doing my own thing. And so, yeah, refusal to change was going in, and that came about with a cacophony of things, like God is dead, me becoming one of the boys, realizing that if I really wanted to find meaning in high school, if I wanted to have schemas for who I was going to sit with at lunch, and like how I was going to act and be and manifest myself in the world, I was going to have to give up the contradictory things. And it seemed at the time that my faith contradicted my the supports that gave me meaning were the boys, my family, and my faith, and my friends. But I left all my friends. I went to a new high school, and the culture, which was education, the education system didn't really want too hip to all this creation stuff if it wasn't the Big Bang. So take faith out of there. Lost my faith, especially because ninth grade started studying existential philosophy. I was already like on the edge, and then I had Sartre and Camus talking about the meaninglessness of existence. Gone. Faith is out of there. I'm like, fuck no. I felt so naive. Oh, I became malevolent. In fact, I felt I had been cheated, and I felt that I had been taken advantage of, and so I studied atheism in order to go do the same thing to others, trying to be like, just awful. I can't believe that supported me. It wasn't an actual support, and I'm going to destroy anybody else who feels that it's supporting them. I was fucking pissed. And taking that out on people around me. What is this? Lost my friends, lost culture. Oh, parents, and then the continuation of the education system, or the boys. Because they kind of went together. So fuck my parents. Love y'all though. I love you so much. So grateful for you putting up with all my shenanigans. So yeah, the last one was culture. It was the secular. It was what was cool at the time. It was that Gucci shit. It was what was being sold to me in magazines. Who Was a Man? It was Tyler Durden in Fight Club. It was captain of the football team. It was Prom King. It was the cool guys. And so I was going to sacrifice everything to maintain this support so it would be meaningful. Ridiculous. Oh, tragic, really. But I have turned that tragedy into a triumph, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. So, sacrificed a bunch. There was refusal of the call. The call would have been to follow my conscience, my unique gifts, my ability to take human emotion, life, on the stage, share it with the world, build these bridges through story, to inspire you to live your own story, to unfold your own myth. Sacrificed it. Dust in the wind, and I gave myself over to what I thought was meaningful. And it ended up being continuing to be class clown. I graduated into becoming a stoner and a rebel. So I'm rebelling against my faith and my parents now. And lastly, the education system. I was like, y'all are behind. You ain't got it. I can learn all this shit online, and none of this is actually useful. I'm not going to use any of it in the real world, which is what I was supposed to be being prepared for. So threw everything away, and I was basically just lost, just falling in the abyss, trying to find meaning. Like, it seemed like I was super alive, and like just so alive that I couldn't even be within the confines of the classroom. But outside, smoking weed in the parking lot, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is existence? How do I find meaning in this? Lost, scared, afraid, awkward, feeling victimized. Talking to the counselor, Mr. Peavy, talking to my wrestling coach, being like, how did y'all choose this job? Why this job? Why did you choose this to be your purpose? Finally, after like weeks of, it may have even been after Feast or something. It's a story. I fucked up hard. Went hard though. Mac, my wrestling coach and one of my mentors, was like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. Finally, I broke down and adult to the point where they were like, I have no clue what the fuck is going on. And it was such a breath of fresh air. I felt that I not only had to go on, I must survive. It's like, you can't kill yourself. My grandfathers, both of them, both my mom's dad and my dad's dad, committed suicide. And that wasn't good for their development as individuals. And so I couldn't do that. I can do that if I want to. I'm not gonna. But at that time, I felt that I couldn't. And I had to go on. And that suffering was going to be, life was going to be suffering. And that it was going to be a drag. I couldn't find meaning in it. And it was just going to be shit, awful. So when I had enough powerful questions to break down an adult, a mentor of mine, he was like, I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. I just came here. I was tutoring on the side and doing wrestling. They offered me a full-time position. I'm good at math, teach math. I get meaning. I'm teaching people like meaningful things so they can add skills in the real world. But I don't know what I'm doing. It was such a relief. It's the same as at that same time I was listening to this video a lot of where Alan Watts, the person, come to him and be like, if you want, I can't go on living. I have to commit suicide. And Alan Watts like, it's totally up to you. If you want to fold, you want to throw your cards in, it's up to you. You know, see if shuffle the deck, see if you get a better one next go around. That was such a relief that you didn't have to go on. There's another video I made about this, a little 20-minute linguistic thing, all about that. Basically, you don't have to go on. Provides you energy, so you can think about how it would be fun to go on. And you can do it. What the heck? It's awesome. You get that? Cool. Next, refusal to call. Oh, overcoming reluctance. I don't know if I overcame reluctance in high school. There's, again, a hero's journey. I'm trying to take my past. I did take like my pre-adolescent, and then your whole life is a hero's journey, but every day is a hero's journey, and there'll be multiple things in your life like education or your relationship or something. There's always transformational moments in your life where you'll remember it's the end of a chapter and the beginning of something new. Die and become. Let go, so you may grow. So there's lots of moments. It's hard for me to encapsulate it onto one coherent narrative, but golly gee, it's super fun. I'll spend my Saturday doing it. Yeah, so I was avoidance coping. I'm trying to find the right word. The happiness hypothesis. Jonathan Haidt was a professor at UVA, actually. Was he? I think he might have been. Avoidance coping. Yeah, so there's 3 ways people cope with I'll just read this. There have been studies where those who write about their dramatic or traumatic experiences, they have far fewer health issues in the following year compared to a control group that didn't. And this is not a result of catharsis or a purging of emotion that comes from the expressive writing, but rather the benefits occurred to those who reached increasingly deeper insights about their situation, and thus the expressive writing allowed them to make sense of their trauma and integrate it into a meaningful life narrative. So take the valleys of your past and realize that they are the you can't have mountains without valleys, and the journey is going up and down the mountains and the valleys of life. Taking your tragedies and turning them into making them meaningful is integrating them into a coherent narrative, which is what I'm trying to do right now and what I would encourage you to do as well. Mainly this means placing the responsibility on yourself. So I was actually terrible, awful in high school when I didn't have my family or my religion or culture tell me how to live my life. But it also felt good because it's all up to me. A lot of responsibility for the individual, but the individual is the center of evaluation. Don't give it away. Don't give your soul, your individual right to evaluate what is good and bad, what you should do, how you should live your life to anyone. Reluctantly. If you do it voluntarily, that is lit. You voluntarily choose to follow a faith because you like the way it tells the story. Letty. That was me not realizing the other side when I was a child, making a fool of myself in the classroom, thinking that everybody else was reluctant to participate in the classroom activities, whereas most people probably are enlightened in the sense that they are willing to accept the boundaries of the classroom and to do the best that they can within it. So they were more willing than me, and I was actually distracting them. So Yeah, you gotta take responsibility for yourself. And those who believe that they were victims of chance often struggle to overcome the emotional wounds left by their experience. Humans have a deep-seated need to make sense of their suffering. Jonathan Haidt points out in his book Happiness Hypothesis that the distinguishing characteristic of optimists is not that they suffer less, but that they have a greater capacity to make sense of their suffering. The three main ways people cope with setbacks are as follows: active coping, appraisal, and avoidance coping. Active coping is taking direct action to fix the problem. Appraisal is doing the work within, getting one's own thoughts straight and looking for silver linings. And avoidance coping is working to blunt one's emotional reactions by denying the events or avoiding the events by drinking, drugging, other distractions. So the fourth stage in the hero's journey, the last part of being in the ordinary world, is overcoming reluctance. I did not overcome reluctance in high school. Anyway, there's little moments here and there, especially in wrestling, one outlet where I could be heroic, where I could live willingly and willingly endure suffering, get up early and just work out before school, stay late after school so that I could raise my hand at the end of the match. But most of the time in high school, I was avoidance coping. I was drinking and drugging and going to parties as a way to avoid making sense of my situation and what I should do. It's the aesthetic. It's the debauchery. It was just engaging debauchery. Now, there was, of course, the flip side. There's moments in that, like, actually, yeah, not really. I was developing my ability to be social, but it went to the edge and fell over the edge. I had psychotic breaks. I've gone mad before from debauchery, from excessive use of drugs. So, but also you gotta go mad every once in a while to stay sane. It's crazy. So yeah, I was avoidance coping for most of high school, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and even freshman year of college. Mainly just diving into what culture found meaningful, secular stuff, sex, partying, which is sex, drinking, drugging, hedonism, debauchery. Woke up in jail a bunch. Disappointed my family, my friends, and a lot of people, with this avoidance coping. Finally, I woke up every time and was like, all right, I'm never going to do this again. I got to get my shit together. The weight of getting my shit together was always so heavy. And I wasn't doing it willingly. I felt that I must do it. So I was reluctant to do it, so then I had to do it fucked up. And I couldn't do it fucked up, and I just focused on getting fucked up. And I would wake up in jail, and I'd be like, I just did it again? Dang, I really gotta get my shit together. And it was just a vicious cycle going down, down, down. All the way to rock bottom. Great place to build a foundation on. But there's no such thing as rock bottom. You can go all the way down till you kill yourself, or till you just die. Overdose. Rock bottom is a choice. You build the foundation by choosing not to do stuff anymore. Like, I'm not going to drink today. If foundations of Alcoholics Anonymous. Again, they like talk about external forces, higher powers and stuff, which I'm about, but it's within you. I don't want to get into that. Let's just go to crossing the threshold, going into the special world, the world underground, the dream world, the other side, the flip side. So I went to rehab, and this is committing to change. Huge problem in our culture is the lack of traditional rites of initiation. And I went to a rehab that was a wilderness rehab where we would go on. We got back to our animalistic roots, cooking over fires, hiking mountains, fishing. But then we also did really exhilarating stuff like mountain biking, mountain climbing, canyoneering. And we were immersed in the wilderness, which has its own natural healing capabilities, dissolving into the wild, reconnecting, to realize that you as an individual are not separate from the ground that holds you up. As I was walking up a mountain, I realized the mountain was walking me up it. This allows you to understand the probably the only way to change the fate of humanity as we are cutting off the limb upon which we rest. The ecological crisis, destroying the environment which sustains us, is a rekindling of the flame of interconnectedness of life, realizing that humanity is one species in an entire ecosystem that works together. We are interdependent with Mother Nature, with Gaia. And jumping ahead, I would love to be part of that movement, especially in using psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. Taking psychedelics in a natural setting increases healthy individuals' feeling of interconnectedness to nature. People who feel more connected to nature care more about their carbon footprint, think more about their decisions and how they affect 7 generations to come. What kind of ancestors are we going to be for our children? We are part of a lineage of people who have taken care of themselves properly by taking care of the earth properly. They have provided somewhat of a Garden of Eden in which we can all thrive, where there are enough resources. For me, anyway, for my own lineage, that is the case. That's why everybody has the fire to do better than their parents. You don't want to not be able to provide for your kids like your parents provided for you. Everybody's parents fail them in some way. If you provide enough materialistic stuff, maybe you don't provide the emotional stuff, or maybe you don't provide the spiritual stuff. It's, again, you never get it right. You can't be perfect. Don't even strive for perfection. You'll never get there. Salvador Dali. Love art. So yeah, avoidance coping. Finally went to rehab. Luckily, I was part of a team that was, everybody wanted to become an honorable man. That was the whole thing, was about how am I ever going to become an honorable man moving on from here. So the 3 months in the summer were a huge initiation ritual. And within them, they had sub-initiation rituals where we would have a solo quest, fast for a day by yourself in the wilderness. Nothing but a journal. Get your shit together. Later on, fast for 3 days, a spirit quest, alone. Nothing but a journal. It's also a dopamine fast. So powerful. So many people would live more meaningful lives if they enjoyed their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But people don't enjoy their breakfast, lunch, and dinner because they get it every single day. They don't even know what it is to be hungry. More people die from obesity than die from starvation in the 20th century. More people die from suicide than they do from wars, crimes of violence. Maybe even accidents too. Probably not accidents. I don't know. But that's where I am focusing on depression, anxiety, people struggling with suicidal ideation, people struggling with substance abuse. I view myself as someone who has been through that and struggles with it every day too. I'm a human. I don't have my shit together, but I have support systems and I have rituals. I have a morning routine and I have an evening routine and I have things to keep myself afloat along the river of life. And it's a float that is sustainable. Going back to high school, being the class clown and the stoner and the party boy, and then trying to be a fuckboy in college. You can view life as a journey across a vast valley, and there's a river winding through the valley, and you got to cross the river multiple times, and you got to build a raft across it. You can either take it from within and use your instincts to build the raft. The hero does. Most people look outside. They look to faith. They look to culture. I look to culture. I look to TV shows. Who's popular in media, and what personality and what actions did they do. And I use my raft to build this stoner, class clown, fuckboy to get myself across the river of high school. So I knew how to act, how to be, who to associate myself with, all of that stuff. Allowed me to get through it. Not all bad. Allowed me to get through it. Didn't kill myself. Came close though. Not the best raft. Not recommended. 10 out of 10 would not recommend to a friend. Another thing was, I got through high school. You cross the river with the raft. You leave the raft on the bank. You don't pick the raft up and keep on going. You leave it there. I picked my raft up and I carried it with me because it gave me comfort, you know? So often we suffer because we are unwilling to sacrifice those parts of ourselves which no longer serve us. And that was one of mine. It's a huge part of mine. Because the last time I did sacrifice a large part of myself was when I went to a new high school. Sacrificed my friends. Sacrificed my faith within that year. And then later on I sacrificed all of education. I was like, fuck culture. Culture is not my friend. And I had to go back down into the wilderness, to these initiation rites, to realize that their culture, there was a tradition to have someone who was leaving make you a spoon. You didn't have anything to eat with. Except your hands. So you were given a spoon by someone. And that was a part of culture, the culture of this wilderness rehab. Same thing that allowed me, not right then, maybe after I was out of it. You never understand the benefits of the triumphs and tragedies of whatever you're going through until you're out of it. And you can look back on it and see. You can't know yourself unless you're outside yourself. That's why you can never really know yourself, because you can't get outside yourself to see yourself. But this is just talking about one stage of life. You can't know how you're developing through puberty till you've developed through puberty, and you can look back at it and you can compare yourself to others, or who you could have been. Whoa. All right. So, yeah, realizing that culture is beneficial and to sacrifice avoidance coping. Main thing, sacrifice drinking and drugs and eating junk food and mindless entertainment. Just consuming everything, consuming. So that I don't have to look at myself, because if I did, I would be there's a lot of self-loathing in substance abuse and depression and anxiety. And it's a vicious cycle. I mean, I can see it started in high school when I realized that there's other people who are less fortunate. I went to a private high school and I was skipping class to get high. And I was ungrateful. Going back to whether or not you should throw in your cards and kill yourself. If you're playing poker, you only throw in your cards if you're going to play another round with the chips that you have. Thinking with life, the thing is you're all in from the beginning. YOLO, mother. Like, you don't get another go around. You can't throw in these cards and have the same connection with your consciousness or your divinity, your gift, if you kill yourself. But I was reluctant to play my hand. I was ungrateful for the hand I was given, and I was given a fantastic hand in relation to the cultural game or the socioeconomic game in relation to white male in America with a private school education, upper middle class. That's the lottery. It's a full house. And so being ungrateful at that and knowing that I should be grateful is like being, it's nothing like this, but I mean, it's kind of similar to knowing that you have a test the next day and so you need to get enough sleep, but otherwise you'll be anxious because you didn't get enough sleep, but then you can't fall asleep on time, and so you're anxious that you are going to be anxious, and then you're anxious that you can't fall asleep, so you're anxious, and it's a vicious cycle which keeps you awake. That's the mind. That is psychological suffering. And it leads to a lot of self-loathing. And so after I got out of rehab, started calling myself love. Started getting into personal development. Started doing affirmations every day. I was journaling every single day, affirming myself every single day. I was in the next stage, in the first stage of the special world, which is committing to change, crossing the threshold. In Star Wars, it is when he's after Luke's aunt and uncle are killed, and he's like, all right, I'm going to go join the fight against the Empire. It's when you are free to voluntarily embrace your heroic nature. So yeah, Star Wars. He and Obi-Wan travel to Mos Eisley to hire a ship for the journey. Free to deliver the secret plans. So I was free to begin my heroic journey to manifest the unique gifts that I had. So like when I was getting out of rehab, like in rehab, that's all about the initiation rituals and being a good team member and leader and supporting each other to be vulnerable and be courageous, be awkward, and stumble forward together. Main thing I learned at the end was to ask for help, actually, that you can't do it alone. Hey, I always want to do it by myself. I am afraid of being not self-reliant, of needing help. So I'm reluctant to ask for help. And I realized that I have to learn that lesson every single day. When I graduated from Legacy, where I was learning to become an honorable man, and in the catalyst of substance abuse and recovery. We start fires with sticks, and doing it blindfolded is the final test. And I was the first one to go. I was so fucking ready to do it. I was like, oh, lit, I'm gonna be out of here, back into the real world. I can go get some real. We had fantastic food, but like go get a restaurant where I don't have to cook my food over a fire. Like, so excited to like do it first and like be an ideal for others in the group to strive towards. 15 minutes of me fumbling around, dropping the tools, not getting a spark. My mentors are asking me, what are you going to do? Because the making the fire is the making the meaning in your life that will sustain you to not go into avoidance coping, not go into drinking and drugging, and giving away your life to fugazi, debauchery. So what do you do when you're struggling to maintain that meaning? Well, in recovery, you call someone in your support system. It's one of the tools you got. All these people, call them. Yo, I need help. They're like, ask for help. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could ask for help. Yo, hey, can you help me? Hold this. Can you do this? And the people that could see, because I'm blindfolded, I just asked and they did it for me. We got fire. Huh. So nice. Get dinner now. Live another day. So yeah, asking for help. One thing I learned. Next, experimenting with first change. This is test allies and enemies. So I guess this would be when I'm at Texas Tech and I'm sober. I'm living in the sober dorms. I mean, before that I'm living in a halfway house, and there was a lot of tests there because there's other people in sobriety who what I label as my enemies. There's people there that were reluctant to be sober, and because I was being sober and I wasn't reluctant, I was willing. I had this enthusiasm and joy about each day. I was working out twice a day, and I was getting into Texas Tech on scholarship, and there's good things happening for me. And there's other people that were the enemy or that are malevolent. Like I had a kid unknowingly pee on my clothes like 3 days in a row. I found like the fourth day all my clothes soaked with this 4-day-old urine. Reeks. Had to throw all the clothes away. And had to not fight the kid. That was the hardest. It was fat little redheaded fuck. Still hold a little bit of resentment. Little punk ass. Could have thrown hands. Could have just messed up that already messed up face. But I did not. I did not. I meditated. It's like, ooh, he is struggling right now. He is really struggling right now. And yeah. Pity him. I didn't think about him. I didn't choose to pity him. I chose to realize that hurt people and move on. Just focus on not hurting people yourself. Get your own shit together so you're not malevolent in the world. Oh, friends. My gym bro is Bailey Bolden's first guy that comes to mind. Bailey, I hope you see this, dude. Check out Pursuing Perspectives. Bailey's got a podcast. Check out his Instagram. This dude is always in the gym when I'm in the gym, and he hit the lotto. He is gorgeous. I mean, he works out like a crazy man too, but this dude is a bodybuilder, and he is smart, enthusiastic, great connector, uh, emotionally intelligent man, and he's got the meaning in his life, and he struggles with it just like I do, but he never gave in. He chose not to go work for a corporation. He chose to pursue his own entrepreneurial journey, his own hero's journey, and I'll totally actually talk to him about that one day. First, I gotta be able to make my story comprehensible. This is a jumbled mess too. I'm sorry, it's so incoherent. Hopefully it's entertaining. I don't know. So yeah, the tests were of course tests to stay sober. In the sober dorms, there's always people with drugs that you're with a bunch of fellow addicts, which are just normal people who chose the path of avoidance coping, and their avoidance coping, instead of mindless entertainment, Netflix or something, a lot of times it's also included that, but mainly focused on drugs, cannabis, alcohol, meth, whatever you want. I don't care. But yeah, somebody always had something in server dorms. Server dorms always have somebody getting high, and so like I had somebody in my server dorm getting high. That's some people in a rehab getting high. There's people in Legacy. Like when I was in the wilderness, there's people getting high. So there's the test. There's the test. Not go be one of the boys. Because being the boys in high school, doing the rebellious thing was meaningful and needed to get to where I was, needed to get to where I am. But and it served me then. But what I realized was that it no longer served me. Until it did, I couldn't find meaning in my studies, and I gave in. I went and I got high, and it was so good. So good that I just went back down the rabbit hole. I still struggle every single day with this stuff. Anyway, the people that I found then weren't. I stopped getting high with that kid, and I kept doing the main benefits that I still have today. Because I'm not sober. And just let me say that I'm not sober. I smoked weed, I don't know, like a month ago. I had a drink last week, celebrate my friend's birthday. But I'm no longer addicted, and in part is because of psychedelics, which I'll get to. It's a lot because of my rituals. I wake up every single day and I have a morning routine where I drink water and I stretch and I do qigong and I practice mindfulness and I set up things I have to do today. And I have an evening routine where I evaluate the stuff I did today, and I evaluate, did I give in to my vices? Did I courageously embrace my virtues? Did I sacrifice what I want right now for what I want in 5 years? And I evaluate today, and I plan out what I gotta do tomorrow. Going back to when I first hopped off the sobriety train, I was sober for 9 months after committing to change, and then experimenting with the first change was being sober. Experimenting with the first change was being in the real world, back into university, and finding meaning in that. That was when I really instantiated a morning and evening routine, instantiated journaling, and instantiated movement, working out, either dancing, yoga, calisthenics, or just pumping iron. And the tests were being malevolent, taking out my pain and suffering on others, using others as means to an ends rather than as ends in themselves, which all human beings are ends in themselves. That's a rule of Kant's philosophy. Treat people as ends in themselves. Allies were made. After I started smoking, I stopped smoking with this other kid because he was doing it for like total avoidance coping, and like I was doing it to feel more connected, I guess, to nature, and I was, and that led me to my friend who I did start getting high with after we worked out, and after we had all of our work done, and the way that I should have been doing it the whole time. And then we had a guide. We guided each other. He guided me, and then I guided him through a psychedelic experience. And it was a religious experience for me. It was a religious experience when he did it too. One of the most meaningful moments of our lives. It's been 5, 4, 3, 2, uno, kid pigs. I don't know, it's been a couple years since I saw this man, but we still stay in contact. He's doing fantastic. He's actually got a can of his business now. He's an entrepreneur too. So those were my allies. I was surrounding myself with people who didn't want to work for a corporation, wanted to start their own business, which meant developing the discipline to obey yourself, which is super hard. It's the first great challenge and task of any individual. And we always fail. I always fail. I won't speak for others. But I always repent, and I always recommit to the change. Every day, that's part of my practice. And every night, every moment. It's 0 to 1. It's putting the pen to paper and writing down your story. It's taking the paintbrush and putting it on the canvas. It's starting. So those are the tests and the allies and the enemies. Preparing for a big change. Approach the innermost cave. I guess I'll drag 6 on. Experimenting with the first change, test allies and enemies, to the going to UVA. So I left Texas Tech, I got into UVA, and I came back to Virginia, and I went to UVA, and I was actually struggling, actually. It was hard for me I didn't want to go into the frat life, and I didn't want to I joined the wrestling club, and there's some other stuff that I found meaning in. Actually, I don't know if I didn't join the club the first semester I was there. I just delved into philosophy, and I wanted to be a philosopher. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to be Alan Watts, and still do. What's going on? We're doing it right now. But the wonder that I had with life, and that philosophy gave me, talking about the wonder of existence, of experience, of the present moment, this weird thing that's going on, how beautiful and strange it is. And my philosophy classes were a drag. They were reluctant. There was like a little bit of wonder, but it was mainly like footnotes, papers, and references, and endless other people's arguments, and there wasn't a lot of passion and love for like there were some teachers that were cool, but not nearly as many in the psychology field, which is why I minored in psych. I found the real soul to be in psychology. So I actually left, dropped out. I went to, it's like, I can't do this, gotta take a break. I'm leaving school, I'm gonna go to be an actor in LA. Kept asking myself, who do I want to be? Who am I? Those fundamental questions, which is what's going on, what should I do? When I ask what I should do, it always came up with the question of when you're in lower school and middle school and grown-ups ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because that's obviously what you should do. It's what you want to be. And I would always answer, I want to be an actor. So I was like, why am I in school at UVA? Fuck it, I'm going to go to LA and be an actor. Took my time, went down the bottom, volunteered across the country doing work away, made it to LA. Pretty hard to do that. Pretty hard to do acting in LA. There's a lot of people out there doing the same thing. So I was at catering, actually. And I got some acting gigs. I think like 5 or 6. 2 modeling gigs. Oh no. Some things I'm not proud of. Just trying to make a quick buck, trying to eat some food.